Our goal today is to talk about halves and fourths. And today we are only using rectangles and circles as our examples. And you will see all our exercise today are about circles and rectangles. First of all, let's talk about half. You'll see that here I have a circle and I have a rectangle. I put a line through each of the shape and break them into two equal shares. So in the previous lesson, 15-1, yesterday you learned about the word share and equal share, right? So this line is right in the middle of the shape, and I know visually that these two parts are equal. They're equal shares. And here, this shape, it's because I put a line from this corner all the way to the other corner. And I know if I cut this shape down, these two triangles would match. So they are also equal shares. And today, we are going to learn this word half. For each of the equal share, it's actually half of the shape because there are two of them that looks the same that makes the shape, right? So each share is half. So we can say half of the circle is yellow. Can you say the sentence with me? Half of the circle is yellow. So can you also use this half? Use the word half to talk about this part of the rectangle. We can say half of the rectangle is yellow. Does that make sense? Now I want you to pause the video and talk to yourself about the other half of each shape. What color are they? Use the word half. Here we go. Half of the circle is orange. And here, half of the rectangle is green. Great job. Now, let's take a look at these two shapes. It's still my circle and my rectangle. This time, I put two lines through the shape and make them 4 equal parts. And here too, 4 equal parts because my line is right in the middle through the shape. So I can say each part or each share of this shape is a quarter. A quarter means 1/4. So another way of saying it, we can say 1/4. So I can use this blue part of the shape and I can say 1/4 of the circle is blue. Can you also talk about the yellow part using quarter or 1/4? We can say a quarter of the circle is yellow. In other words, 1/4 of the circle is yellow. Here in the rectangle, you can pause the video now and practice using the word quarter and 1/4 to talk about the two colors, orange and yellow part of the rectangle. So here we go. 1/4 of the rectangle is orange. 1/4 of the rectangle is yellow. Great job. Now let's take a look at the orange part of this shape. I could look at this shape and say 1/4 of the circle is orange, right? But I noticed that there's another orange part. So here are 2 quarters, or I can use my word to type 2 quarters is actually 2/4. You noticed that when I change from 1/4 to 2/4, I add an S after the word oops, I add s after the word fourth because there are two parts now. Okay, so I can say 2/4 of the circle are orange. So same thing here, 2/4 of the rectangle are green. If you notice very carefully, if you observe it very carefully, that if I put the two parts together, does that look like half of the circle? So if I'm putting the two, if I'm cutting every piece of this circle down and then reorganize it, I want to put this orange piece with this orange piece. They're together. They make half of the circle, right? So we also know that 2/4 is actually half. 2/4 equal to half. Does that work with the rectangle? Let's take a look. If I am cutting down the 4-piece, 2 green part, 1 yellow part, 1 orange part, and reorganize it and put it back into a rectangle, I notice that the 2 green parts can make half of the rectangle. So 2/4 of a rectangle is also half of the rectangle. Does that make sense to you? And yesterday, if you did your exercise, you notice that not every part of the shares are equal. When we divide a shape into 4 parts, sometimes we can find the shares are not equal. So still pay attention to if the shares are equal or not. We are only using half or a quarter or 1/4 when we only talk about equal shares. So for example, this shape is divided into 4 equal shares. So I can say each little part of a fan shape like shape is called 1/4 or a quarter of the share. However, this shape is also divided into 4 parts, but they're not equal. So I cannot use my vocabulary word today, 1/4 or a quarter, to talk about one part of the shape because they're not equal. Okay. However, this line in the middle goes through the circle and breaks it into 2 equal shares. So I could use the word half on it. However, not quarter or 1/4. Let's take a look at those rectangles. This rectangle is equally divided into 4 shares. So I can use either half, right? Half here, or 1/4. This rectangle, it looks like it's, breaking into 4 parts. These 2 parts look the same. These 2 parts look the same. However, not all 4 parts are equal. So I cannot use my word to talk about 1/4 or quarter. However, I could use half because one diagonal line make the rectangle into 2 equal halves. This rectangle is divided into 4 equal shares, so I can use the word quarter or half to talk about the rectangle. So you need to pay very close attention before you even use our word to talk about halves or fourths. If you understand what we talk about today, I want you to do a quick do you understand task and submit your picture and explanation after that. First, I want you to draw a rectangle on a paper. Then I want you to divide the rectangle into 4 equal shares. No matter how you divide it, just need to be 4 equal shares. Then I want you to color half of the rectangle green. Remember, you can use, if I'm using the word half here, it can also be 2/4, right? Because we just talked that 2/4 or 2/4, 2/4 of a shape is actually half of the shape. So color half or 2/4 of the rectangle green. Color 1/4 of the rectangle yellow. After you finish your picture, take a picture of your picture and then send it to me, and then I want you to explain to me, is every part colored? Tell me why or why not. So along with today's lesson, you also need to submit the Do You Understand task to me. You don't need to do the Do You Understand task on your textbook. However, if you want to do it, that will be a plus. I'm looking forward to your answers.